All right. Hey, everybody. Nobody's here yet, but I wanted to get on as early as possible just to make sure that this thing would start working. And so I don't mind a little dead air as I try to find something to put on in the back. Lots of stuff to choose from. So I'm going to put something from my video library in there, my Amazon video library. Something, let's see, what can we put on? Let's make sure it's not for kids. Yeah, let's put on Slave. That would be great. I don't think there's any nudity in Logan. All right, so welcome to the very first. This is probably not the first time I've tried to do a live stream on Friday nights, but it's the first official one since getting going and passing 1,000 subscribers. Friday night is probably a stupid night to have this on, but you know, it's not like, again, it's not about the numbers. And again, if people watch it later, because we have topics, things to talk about. We're going to be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. We're going to be talking about Star Wars. We're going to be talking about Dawn of X. We're going to be talking about the X-Men comic book I wrote. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, and I'll get to anybody's comments that are put in here. And if nothing else, like if this ends up being like a party, you know, like parties that I threw in the 90s, well, I'll be talking to myself for a while. Man, I should have trimmed this little gray out of my beard. But since before anybody really gets here, I'm going to talk just quickly about I do comic reviews, and I didn't get to do a lot of them. And I like to do the show me your floppies thing for people, you know, that are in the comics community. But there's some gotten to review yet that I haven't even gotten to read yet. But I did pick up like Punisher Soviet #2. Really excited about reading this one. Believe it or not, I'm actually really excited about reading Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality. I mean, Peter David's writing it. I'm not the biggest fan of Greg Land. He's okay, but I love the Arthur Adams connecting variant. I'm getting all the Arthur Adams connecting variants for these. He's doing a bunch of them. It's Arthur Adams. I love him. I don't know if I want to release my review for Fallen Angels, mostly because I didn't really have that much to say about it. But we will be talking about the X-Men books coming up here on the stream. To another one. Another book I got that I didn't make a review for, but I probably will be, is Something is Killing the Children, #4. It's a really good issue, by the way. I got Ghost Rider #3, which I happen to like a lot. And all those X books, man, are like really divisive, except for X-Force. Savage Avengers #8, because I'm digging, you know, like Jerry Duggan, like he's one of those people, like people either love or hate. I dig him. I dig him. I don't like everything he does, you know, not every issue of everybody's run. It's like saying, you know, like every issue of Tom King's run on Batman was terrible, when it's just not true. The overall experience is not great, but you know what I mean. Immortal Hulk #28, and yes, I did, you know, I got the standard because of course it's Alex Ross, and you guys, anybody knows I love Alex Ross. I did get the 2020 variant, but it's Dale Keown. How do I had to. I didn't have to, but I love him, man. I love his Incredible Hulk run. I really, really love it. I wish he'd do more than covers. I did pick up Venom 2099. Just because it looks really interesting. I have not had a chance to read it. I will be getting to it. I also got Batman Curse of the White Knight #4. One of the best books. Like this, the Batman Black Label books have been really pretty good for Batman. And Detective Comics has been pretty good too. And then also I've been going into the backlog of Grant Morrison Batman. I've been picking these up. You know, first Damian Wayne series. Got a whole bunch of those. I've picked up basically the entire Batman and Robins, because I dig Damian Wayne. I actually do dig Damian Wayne, and I'm excited to read all of his story. It took me a minute to get used to him. We also picked up first couple of issues of Batman Incorporated. As you can see, Grant Morrison is kind of the theme there. As far as Marvel back issues for stuff, I picked up a couple of the original Gambit series. Uncanny X-Men number 304, Fatal Attractions. Some classic Wolverines, the Lazarus Projects, 27, 29, well, 27 somewhere else, but pick those up. X Factor number 92, because I'm trying to complete my Fatal Attractions. Hey, Paul, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for commenting and letting me know that it's working. And I picked up a couple of old X-Forces. I'm trying to be a completionist and get my collection back because my collection was stolen in the 90s. And so I'm getting back what was once mine. And I'm being really completionist about X-Men, the original X-Men run that started with Jim Lee. I have the first 49 issues. I'm about to get number 50. So those are the books that I got that I haven't gotten around to talking about or whatever. I am really proud of some of the reviews I've been doing for comics. I feel like I could definitely be doing a better job. I also picked up for Black Friday, they were doing 99-cent Detective Comics number 1000. So I picked up the 40s variant and the Greg Capullo one. 99 cents. You know, I think I have like 6 of those. Like I said, if and when more people get here, we'll talk more in depth on that. But as far as like starting off, since there's really not many people here, we might as well start with the Dawn of X stuff. What the hell is going on back there? The Dawn of X books that have been going on. So we're like 3 issues deep. We're about to be 4. Starting next week, they're doing releasing everything that came out this week plus Marauders. It's like Marauders number 4 comes out, X-Force number 4 comes out, Fallen Angels, New Mutants, Excalibur, everything but X-Men number 5 is coming out next week. Almost all of these books came out this week. I'm not exactly sure what's the problem there. I know that X-Force or X-Men, Hickman's X-Men is getting like held back. But let's talk about this because, man, like I'm really mad at myself now for getting the variant and like I love me some Alex Ross, but I'm bummed at myself for getting X-Men number 3. I mean, I'm trying to give Hickman a chance on this book, but I'm the one person. There's a few people that have the same feeling about number 3, but I had the same I could see the downward trend happening pretty quickly on these books. And while I think that there's still potential, X-Force is the one that's hitting it out of the park. X-Force is hitting it out of the park. And with Ben Percy going to be he's writing that book, and he's writing the Wolverine book. He's going to be the one that's on track because Wolverine right now is the best character to me and I know that's cliche, but it's kind of true that he's the best character in the Dawn of X books right now. I mean, I love what they're doing with Apocalypse. I'm very interested in what Sebastian Shaw's up to in Marauders. But none of these feel like X books except for X-Force. And even that is different because, Professor X is sanctioning X-Force this time. Before it was Cable that started X-Force. Then you got Cyclops doing the Black Ops. And you would never in a million years think that Xavier would be the one sending out people to do Black Ops jobs. But X-Men by Hickman, if this doesn't get any better, like if issue 5, if this isn't doing something better, I'm I might have to actually drop it from my. How do you drop X-Men, the titular book of the series, off your pull list? I mean, I never would have thought that I'd be saying that. I thought I'd be saying that about Marauders, but I'm not. I'm saying that about X-Men. And Marauders isn't perfect either, but at least it shows they're showing some forward progress. Excalibur, it's starting to show some promise too, more promise. The story is moving forward. A little too slow for me, just a little, not a lot, just a little. I love this book, I do. And I happen to be like one of the only people that just seems to actually still really like New Mutants. Even Hickman's writing in it. I like it. I like Brisson too. The art is like, I actually like Reese's art more than I do Flaviano's. But I happen to like the story that Brisson's telling because it's some interesting details about the Krakoan stuff and like the properties of the plants and where are some of the mutants that haven't checked in, that kind of storyline. And then of course X-Force, which is just, it's dark and adult and telling some just, it's the one that's the most consistent to, like, I know I've said this and other people are saying it, it's the most like House of X and Powers of 10. But anyway, so I don't know what to say about it, but it's just, it's frustrating because after coming off of such a strong miniseries where the sales went through the roof, and now to be just like, what is going on there? Now I know Chip Zdarsky's doing Fantastic Four and the X-Men, which gives me a little bit of hope, but that's just a miniseries. So I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit let down by this. And I'm more inclined now to go, well, I'm just going to start dropping some of these X books pretty soon just to save money on books, other books that I could be buying, like books like Undiscovered Country, things like that. But let's jump into talking about, Paul says, like Marauders and X-Force have not read New Mutants. Well, New Mutants is just not for everybody. DJ Crystal Clear's in the house. And he's brought Satan with him. Or they're one and the same. So New Mutants is not for everybody, but I grew up around the time of New Mutants, like, was ending. It was going on before I was a reader, but I've been going back and rereading a lot of these books, and I'm very familiar with the characters. So what some people have a problem with, I'm more fine about, because they are acting like the characters at the very least. Whether you like the story or not, I don't know. I can't really help you with that. But let's talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife. So Ghostbusters Afterlife, after 2016's all women, which I don't care about that. I don't care that it was all women. It doesn't matter. It just wasn't funny. I just didn't like it. Chris Hemsworth couldn't say it, like, you get Chris Hemsworth in this movie and he can't even save it. Thor can't save your Ghostbusters movie. Kristen Wiig wasn't funny. Melissa McCarthy wasn't funny. DJ says, if I was a wrestler, my character would be Satan. Didn't Satan box Jesus on South Park? That was a good moment. Mara Sue, I'm here because of his Dark Materials reviews. I know nothing about X-Men. That's okay. His Dark Materials is freaking amazing. I actually have my sister upstairs. She's never seen it, and I have her watching it for the first time all the way through, because I'm really excited. That show is just blowing me away. And when it ends, I'm gonna be like Watchmen being over, I'm fine with. Other shows I'm being fine with. I'm gonna be really excited to see his Dark Materials return, and I hope it returns soon, because with the girl, she's hitting that age where she's gonna have a growth spurt. She's gonna be going through some changes, if you get my drift. And hopefully they're already filming season 2. That's my hope, because if this is only like a 3-season show, I hope that they're just kind of knocking these out so that she doesn't turn out to be like a 6, all of a sudden go through a growth spurt where she's like 6'2", and she's supposed to be like, what, 13 or something. But I hope that that show gets recognized at the Emmys, at least for technical aspects, things like that. But to get back to Ghostbusters, yeah, DJ, they say that the OG characters are returning in Afterlife. And I believe that's true, but I have some theories about that. Um, okay, Marisu, that's amazing. That's great. They started filming season 2 immediately for exactly that reason. Yeah. I mean, you got the source material right there, so it's not like it's going to be too hard to adapt. And I know they've been making a lot of changes, but I hear that also the changes seem kind of either necessary or fine, because you have to change some things in the book. You have to almost. I mean, there's very few things that actually can still feel right. And so far, the comments on these reviews have been positive for the most part on the changes or the things that are left out. I mean, even Game of Thrones went in its best days, past like between season 2 and like 4 and 5, we're still leaving out tons of stuff and being brilliant. So, but OG Ghostbusters, to talk about Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2016 just wasn't good. It just wasn't funny. I didn't care that they were women. I like Kate McKinnon. I thought she was just like, oh, I'm bizarre Kate McKinnon. And Melissa McCarthy is just doing her thing that she always does. And Kristen Wiig is just being Kristen Wiig. And Leslie Jones is being Leslie Jones. Watch their skits on Saturday Night Live. It looked like they were just doing a Saturday Night Live version of Ghostbusters. That's what it felt like to me. Throw in a bunch of guest stars that don't really work. Throw in Ghostbusters that aren't the original Ghostbusters playing other characters. Bill Murray getting killed, which maybe he was in on, I don't know, but I didn't. I just ugh. But Afterlife, first thing it's got going for it, and I knew this before the trailer dropped. I like Melissa McCarthy too, DJ. I just don't like her in that. I like Melissa McCarthy when she's actually allowed to stop being when she's not given the roles or having to take the roles that people like Chris Farley had to take, where he was just typecast as the funny fat guy. When she's allowed, when they let her off the chain, or when she does some dramatic work, like that one about her being is she a plagiarist in the maybe you'll never forgive me, or will you ever forgive me, or something like that. She's really good and stuff like that. Identity Theft, I hated that movie. I hated it. Mostly because I thought her character wasn't funny and she was despicable. Now Jason Bateman's character wasn't much better, because I love Jason Bateman, but we're not going to dive too far down that rabbit hole. But Ghostbusters Afterlife has one major thing going for it, that right off the bat is it's Jason Reitman, and I don't mean that because he's the son of Ivan that did the original Ghostbusters. That's just kind of like a happy coincidence to me. I'm sure that was planned. I'm sure that this was talked about and they got him around to doing it. And I hope that he was able to do his own kind of thing. Because Jason Reitman has been a very excellent director over the past decade, maybe even a little bit longer. He makes good movies, and he usually gets people to have good scripts in those movies. Those are the two things I want. One major things I want is good writing. So as long as you've got a good accomplished director and you've got a good script, this movie should be great. If they remake Groundhog Day, there's that game, there's like that mobile game or something, or a PC game where it's like the son of Phil gets stuck in Punxsutawney, and I'm just like, what a fucking joke. Certain things, man, should just not be touched. Not until I'm dead, man. Not until I'm too old to give a shit. But I mean, it's their property. They can do whatever they want with it. And I'll get back to more of the comments because I see Paul's got a question there, and I will answer that question, Paul. Is that Jason Reitman directed Juno. He directed Thank You for Smoking, which is one of my personal favorite movies of the past 20 years. If you haven't seen Thank You for Smoking, holy shit, is that amazing. He directed Up in the Air with George Clooney and what's her name? Vera Farmiga and Anna Kendrick and Danny McBride was in that movie. He also did, I think, Young Adult with Charlize Theron. All these like smaller movies, right? Movies that don't get a lot of attention. But he's not one of those directors that did like one movie and then was given a huge franchise. Jason Reitman has been making really, really good movies, one after another, that are at least critically acclaimed, if not audience acclaimed at the same time. And so he's already got the cred to make Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, I'm not a big fan of Finn Wolfhard, but I am a big fan of the little girl in that McKenna Grace. I liked her a lot in my favorite thing of last year, which was The Haunting of Hill House. I like that it's Egon's family. I like that they find the Ghostbusters thing. I like Paul Rudd as a science teacher and not just some, random fan or something that tracks him down. I like the reveal of this whole world. I like the fact that we find out that this farm is in this place that is based on the building from Ghostbusters 1, that the owner that owned the building in Ghostbusters that, was creating all this problem in that movie. They're at a ranch, the mine and stuff is owned with that same name. So it makes you believe that maybe the source of some of this evil power is where the Ghostbusters ended up after New York. And I'm starting to think, and this is my theory, a possible theory, because it's called Ghostbusters Afterlife, right? And who knows, the new trailer for it could drop in like a week and I'll be completely wrong, but I'm just throwing this out there. Is if the OG Ghostbusters show up, great, like as themselves, like maybe in the 11th hour or something like that, or like maybe halfway through the movie, because that teaser trailer was perfect. It didn't tell us too much. It just showed them running around like joyriding in the Ghostbusters car, playing with the proton packs and like being like kids about it. I think we only saw about this much of that movie in the trailer. But my theory is, and it's just a possible one, is what if Egon was the last Ghostbuster standing and that he stayed there at the farm to watch over this pit that they had where the evil was? And what if the other Ghostbusters, what if they're dead? What if they died there? And when we see them, it'll be them coming out of this green, like, ghost pit. And in some way, they'll be able to help the kids in ghost form, maybe. And I know that's how that probably sounds to people. But I'm just saying, I like to prepare for the worst. To me, that's not a good scenario. I don't want this to happen. All right, I want to see the old OG Ghostbusters with the old proton packs ready to fight again. That's what I want. But I'm also preparing myself for what everybody likes to do these days, which is subvert expectations. And I'm saying, what if the Ghostbusters were already dead? And that's why nobody knows about them anymore. They moved in, and Egon and them moved all out there, and whatever happened, happened. And he was the one keeping things still going until he died. And now these kids find it, and they're kind of have to learn how to do the things that they did. Well, like I said, I don't want that to happen, but I don't like surprises. I don't like subversion when it doesn't feel necessary, but I feel like that is definitely a possibility of something that could happen for this new Afterlife. The rest of it is fine. I'm actually fine. And in fact, there was a point, and I know I don't like to be like this about trailers, but I actually got the chills watching it for a minute. There was a point, and I think it was when they pulled off the cover of the Ecto-1, and I just kind of got that feeling, that old feeling, like, oh man, I think we might be watching something really interesting. I don't think it's going to make no $1 billion. I do think it's going to be like a sleeper hit, the movie that nobody wanted, after 2016's debacle. And I do think that it's possible that this will be like the sleeper hit that comes out of nowhere, that makes a nice chunk of change, that revitalizes at least the Ghostbusters franchise. If they keep making movies, at least these kids are young, and so they could keep going. it also depends on the scripts and who takes it over and whether or not, who owns this. This is Sony and Columbia Pictures. So, there's a problem right there, Sony. Sony could fuck this up, but we don't know. I don't know. I hope not. I really hope not. But I'm going to get to Paul's question here. What did I think about Wonder Woman 84? I think it's fine. I think it looks like it's taking a cue from Aquaman and saying, let's just have fun with this. Wonder Woman 1 I thought the first half of that movie was pretty good. I thought that her and Steve Trevor had actual chemistry. I wish they hadn't had sex. I honestly think that took away from the story. I liked how they were coming at things from a mutual respect without it just going from, hey, let's just do it. And they just do it, and then they're just in love, and I thought that was stupid, and the end of that movie was stupid. But this one looks like it's going to have way more fun with it. Does it make sense that Wonder Woman in 1984 was doing the superhero thing, and Batman acts like he doesn't know who she is, and that he's never heard of her in Batman versus Superman? Because that's where I feel like Bruce Wayne would know if Wonder Woman was running around in 1984. Okay, he would. They would have brought this up in the past movies. And all they talk about in Batman versus Superman is that one picture of her back in the day before her movie came out. So if they're just going to say, forget all of that, I'm good with it. I'm good with that. Just have fun. As long as Wonder Woman is fun and Steve Trevor being back makes some kind of sense, I'm all about it. I like the music that they used. I just don't like it when I feel like they're using it because they know we're going to like that kind of music. Like, yeah, I love that song. You bastards better make a good movie to go along with that good song. I like the whip. I like that they're probably going to throw the invisible jet in there. I think it's going to be just as much fun as Aquaman. And I'll be there day one. I will be there day one because I want DC to succeed. I'm not just some Marvel fanboy. I like all of it. I've grown up with X-Men and Spider-Man. And DC was always about Batman for me. So I've tried to get more into DC as it goes along, but they've been making it hard on themselves. So Wonder Woman 84, I think, is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as long as like they tone back some of the other stuff that was in the first one that I didn't like, and here's another thing, is a lot of the first Wonder Woman looked bad. Like CGI bad, and some of the stuff in the trailer kind of looked bad still. But if you're having a lot of fun, then maybe you can overlook it. DJ says they better not touch Back to the Future. You're damn right they better not. No, that's another movie where you better not remake that until I'm too young to bitch about it. Because I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. Nothing, don't do it. Don't do it at all. Because you know what's going to happen if they do that, right? They'll make the first one, and everyone will hate it, but it'll change the way you look at Back to the Future after it's done. You can't go back. You can't unsee it. It's like when you see a movie like The Last Jedi for me, and I'm like, it made me go, I wish I had never seen that movie or The Force Awakens at this point, because now it's in my brain, and I can't get rid of it. If they ever remake Back to the Future, I won't see it. But I think that it'll ruin it for a lot of people that love it, and you won't be able to for me, part of Star Wars is kind of ruined looking back on the old movies and even the freaking terrible prequels are as bad as they aren't as bad as this, but it's tainted now. I don't want Back to the Future tainted by an unwanted, terrible, we're going to do it, trust us, we're going to do great about it. No, you aren't. You won't. You will not stop messing around. Wait till I'm dead. And not just me. I mean, I think I speak for a lot of people that say, don't until I'm dead. There's going to be some people that just like, I don't care, man. I want to see Marty and the DeLorean and shit. Because, like I said, I've said to other people that ask me about things like Rise of Skywalker and what do I think? And I said, what I think is they don't care about the super fans. None of them really do. They hope we're happy, but it's a business. And they're just trying to get the regular ass people who don't give a shit They just want to go see a movie that they think they recognize something. Ooh, the DeLorean. I like that. I'll go see that. That's all they want. They want to get those butts in the seats. And if we come along for the ride, great. But we're not the one. They're not thinking about us because it's their property and they're just trying to think of the most effective way to make money. And the most effective way to make money is to keep churning out things that people recognize, whether they even know that they like it or not. Brand recognition. People will just eat that shit up. And people that have other YouTube channels can complain and make the same video over and over and over and over again, taking you guys' money in super chats just to complain about the same thing over and over and over again. I was watching somebody's just to see about The Expanse. They did an Expanse live stream last night. They're talking about The Expanse, and the chat was like, none of those people gave a shit about The Expanse. They were just still complaining about Rise of Skywalker and all this other stuff. And here's $50 to tell somebody how much they hate Rey or some crap. These people have created a monster on their channels where now when they actually want to review something, they're talking about shit that nobody watches. So they're having a conversation with themselves as the chat is just the bottom of the barrel people just complaining and complaining and complaining. And they've got like over 1,000 views for a thing that's called Expanse Season 4, Episode 1. And hardly anybody that, in the long run, if you take all those comments, like this many of them are about the fucking Expanse. And bitch culture that's around all this stuff is like they talk about shills that are paid to be positive. I feel like there's also the shills that are negative. They get paid to be negative because they're taking, they just find these people that want to be a part of something and complain and complain and complain, like talk about how much they hate Rey and how much they hate Finn and how much they hate Poe. And they're seeing that their comments are getting read. So they're putting out $5, $10, $20. I saw somebody give like 800 yen or something like that, whatever that counts to in American dollars, just so that they can keep throwing their opinions out there on stuff that has just been done to death. And they think that that's working, but all you're doing is you're paying these people that are negative about something. They're making a ton of money to just make the same fucking video over and over and over and over again. They're not saying anything new. And they also have these sources that even if they are true, even if they all turn out to be true, it doesn't vindicate you from putting out crap that has got no valid sources. Just like the people that pump out the fake positive reviews, when you're telling possible fake negative stuff, you're just as fucking bad. And then you're making money off of it. But they defend themselves because, we're haters. Well, there's guys like me in the middle who can cut right through the bull crap and just tell you that if you don't like this stuff, like Back to the Future, remake or Ghostbusters remake or what they do to Star Wars, the only thing that hurts these people is paying them. Like by not paying them, don't buy the toys, don't buy the shirts, don't go to the fucking movie. When you hear about people that go to see movies they hate 3 times, you're helping the problem. You're feeding into it. So all the complaining that in the world does nothing if you're still giving them your money. And you're giving money to the positive people, the people that are doing fake stuff on the positive side, and you're giving money to the people that are on the fake negative side, or not fake negative side, but on the negative side, where you just want to tell you how bad everything is, and Kathleen Kennedy is the devil, and J.J. Abrams is the devil, and Ryan Johnson is the devil. Meanwhile, they're counting the stacks that people are these poor dum-dums are shelling out to these channels every single day to get their little tiny opinion about stuff thrown out there. Like I said that I was going to do super chats, but I can't because of monetization. I would never want any of you guys to do a super chat on my channel unless you were honestly just trying to give me, like if I had it available, and unless you were just like, you know what, I want to give Rob $5 for the sake of giving him $5. Not so that you guys can get your comment read. It's ridiculous. And I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a rant there. Like we started talking, the whole thing still is back to like making remakes of good stuff. And if you don't want them, The only way to affect that change is to show them what you don't want by not paying for it. That's it. That's all you can do. Boycott it and not pay. All these people that tell you to not go see it, and how they're not going to pay for it, they're going to pay for it. Someone's going to buy their ticket. That seat is never free. So when they tell you to not go see it, but then they see it, but a friend paid for them, and then they review it so they can sound like legit, there's still someone's paying for that seat. In the end, they're still getting their money. So these people that say that, oh, don't believe the shills out there, you shouldn't believe these people necessarily either. Because they know now where these people that used to make reviews now know where the real money is. And how their channels got big was by complaining. And while I do believe that they are actually bothered by the content that is being made, they're also using the fact that everybody else is upset to profit off of this. And they act like, oh, we love you guys. We love you guys. Of course you love those people. They're paying you hand over fist to say the same thing over and over again. So anyway, Paul, you said that you hope to see the OG Ghostbusters doing their thing. Me too. I hope that's what happens. DJ, what if these kids are OG Ghostbusters back in the day? I don't think they are, because it's proven, it's already been said that Egon's their grandfather. Sony banking, Paul says, Sony banking on an R-rated Venom movie. It has to be rated R. There's no point. Now that they don't have Spider-Man, now that they've given Spider-Man back to Marvel, or, they've allowed him to, they've taken the money from Disney to let Spider-Man go over there. They have no reason to not make Venom R. They have to create their own universe. They need to go hard R and make it as crazy as fucking possible. Otherwise, it will just fail. Logan and Deadpool prove that you can make successful movies with an R rating. You just have to have the right people and the right writers. That's basically it. And the right actors and the good production. DJ says Jumanji, the next level might be Jack Black movie. He's retired. I need to take a drink of my. I wanted to get something nice to drink for my first live stream. I don't even know if it's nice. I don't even know if I'm supposed to shake it up. It's called Tivana. I don't know. I just wanted to drink something like that, like I almost thought I should do a spit take, but then I'd realize I'd spit all over the camera. Oh, that's not that great. If Jack Black retires, then fine, because I miss old Jack Black. Old Jack Black, like I missed old Eddie Murphy. Even though he did that Dolomite movie, that Dolomite Is My Name. I'm glad to see Eddie Murphy back doing R-rated material. Maybe he just had to get old. Maybe he just had to get too old to care anymore about all those kid dollars that he was making back in the day. But Jack Black used to be great. And I'm not saying that School of Rock wasn't pretty good, things like that, but I miss unhinged R-rated Jack Black. And if he retires after this, fine. We still have Tenacious D. He does a good job at doing both PG and R-rated stuff. His PG stuff is just so in your face, and there's so many Kung Fu Pandas and all this other crap that I just go, oh, I want to see the Jack Black who did cock push-ups. Okay? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, watch the Tenacious D movie, The Pick of Destiny, and you'll know what I'm talking about. DJ says, you know me, I download movies. Yeah, well, You notice I left out a word there so that nobody gets in, nobody comes after you. Do what you got to do, man. I got my Once Upon a Time in Hollywood today. And I'm not watching it so that I can do this live stream for you guys. I realized I was buying it today. And I'm like, oh, man, when am I going to watch this? When am I going to watch my Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I was bummed out, though, because Chris Stuckman did a video about, all the different editions and what each of them come with something different. And my Walmart one, because I got it at Walmart, it's supposed to come with like these like postcards. There ain't nothing in here. Yeah, I got the DVD copy and a digital copy. Yay! But I guess I don't need any more Once Upon a Time in Hollywood stuff. I've got the poster. I've got 2 T-shirts. You know, thinking about seeing Black Christmas tomorrow night. Do it, man. You know what? Even if it's not, I don't know if it's good or not. I actually happen to like the original and the remake. The remake, I believe, was done by Glenn Morgan and James Wong, who did a lot of the X-Files. And I actually liked it. I thought it was fine. You know, it is what it is. So if you haven't seen the original Black Christmases, Paul, highly recommend checking them out. If I could, I know I have Black Christmas. Let me see if I can find it. Yep. Sorry. Black Christmas, unrated. One of the best horror movies of the year. It's been sitting on my shelf forever. Yep. Glenn Morgan. Yeah. Glenn Morgan, part of the Glenn Morgan and James Wong from the X-Files and Millennium. It has Mary Elizabeth Winstead in there, Michelle Trachtenberg, Oliver Hudson, Lacey Chabert, Kristen Cloak, Andrea Martin. Like, this has got a pretty decent cast, man. If you haven't checked this out, check it out. I'm all about the Black Christmas. I also love Bad Santa. I never saw the second one, though, because I was afraid it would suck, and I heard it was awful. That really bums me out, because Bad Santa 2 should have been great. EB says, hi. Hey, everybody. Hey, EB. What are we talking about? Marvel? We're talking about a bunch of different things. We started out talking about comic books a little bit just to get the ball rolling because nobody was really here. And we talked about Ghostbusters Afterlife, which turned into a whole big thing about me talking about how other people are calling people shills when they're kind of shills themselves. Then we're going to be talking about Star Wars again because that's just the thing that's going on. You're gonna download that movie. You're gonna blank download that movie. Do what you need to do, DJ. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It is what it is. Can I ship you the other disc of that Hollywood? Can I ship you the other? Man, I can't give. No, man, I ain't touching that. I'm gonna keep that just in case something happens. I need my physical copies. I used to give away if I hadn't. Man, see, if I hadn't put the digital copy in already, I could have given that to you, DJ. Next time I get a movie, right? I promise, DJ. What was I gonna buy? I was gonna buy Ready or Not. So if I buy Ready or Not, DJ, I'll give you the code for my digital copy. How about that? I promise that I'll do that for you. Next time I get any movie, I will give you the first crack at the digital code. But to get back to Ghostbusters Afterlife, I do think is going to be like a roundabout way. We come all the way back around. I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to be a good movie. At least I hope it is. Now, to talk about Star Wars, like I said, and I guess we don't really have to talk too much about it. It's like it's okay. I'll just download it. I keep having these conversations with people that keep saying, like, are you going to go see Rise of Skywalker? And I keep saying, no, I'm not going to go see Rise of Skywalker. It's the only way for me to not, like, it's going to make $1 billion. So some people would say to you, well, if it's going to make $1 billion anyway, then why not just go see it too? But for me, it's going to be up here, and I don't want it to be up here. I mean, if you've already believed the leaks anyway, it's kind of like we've already seen the movie. So there's really not any reason to see it. Now, The Mandalorian is back to form this week. If you guys haven't checked out my review of that, I do have a few minor problems with it, but it's pretty good. I guess we don't really need to cover Star Wars. We kind of covered that in the whole Ghostbusters thing with the rage of the fans. EB says, what are the TV shows you are waiting for in 2020? Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul definitely is like the number one. I did a video of 3 things that I'm looking forward to. One is Snowpiercer, Hunters with Al Pacino on Amazon. I don't know how much I can say about that because I know stuff about that, and I can tell you that I've seen stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Invincible, the animated series, also I think on Amazon, is going to be amazing. From Robert Kirkman, his superhero comic that just ended not too long ago. In fact, I have my Invincible Volume 2 sitting right here almost all the time. That's one of the best comic book superhero comics I've ever read. Doing that as a show will be amazing. There's one more, but I can't remember what it is. I imagine Ozark will probably be back next year. I'd love to see Ozark again. Anything that Disney Plus is doing as far as the Marvel shows. But we were going to talk about What If. We were going to. Oh, I love Westworld. I forgot about Westworld. I forgot about that. Yes, I'm very excited for Westworld. The Mandalorian is the best Star Wars story. Right now it is. Right now it is, Paul. EB says, since Star Wars is owned by Disney, I don't know. I feel the movies are too mainstream. Well, they're definitely something. I think that I just want it to all go away. I want it to all go away for a while. I don't want to see anything for a while with anything that's associated with the original trilogy. I want them to just go to another part of the galaxy far, far away and tell different stories that have nothing to do with the bigger picture of the big Star Wars universe. I want them to start telling small, compressed stories, kind of like Logan, where it's in this big universe but telling a small personal story. Like Rogue One, I thought was the best movie that they've done in this whole time is Rogue One. Because it took place in the OG trilogy. And even though they had updated graphics and new actors that weren't, young back then, and some of the computer effects like Princess Leia and Moff Tarkin were a little uncanny valley, it didn't take away from the fact that I actually enjoyed the hell out of Rogue One. I don't feel like Rogue One tainted anything about the Star Wars franchise. That robot that the one guy had was a little, no, that was Solo. See, that was Solo. The robot in Rogue One was amazing. Alan Tudyk as that robot was fascinating. And the fact that you knew these characters were going to die meant that it didn't have to be the most important character-driven movie. You just wanted to see a great Dirty Dozen Star Wars movie, and that's exactly what it was. If they can keep doing movies like that, I'm all for it. What was the show you were most surprised from by 2019? His Dark Materials. I didn't think I would like it, to be honest with you. I was going to start reviewing it for the channel because it's on HBO and it's a young, it's kind of like, what's the answer to Game of Thrones after Game of Thrones? And I'd never seen The Golden Compass. I knew that Daphne Keane from Logan here is in it. I knew that the guy who plays Professor X right now, why can't I remember his name? I knew Lin-Manuel Miranda was going to be in it. I like him. I knew Ruth Wilson was going to be in it. But I didn't know the material. I heard it was kind of had religious overtones, and I'm not really down for a lot of that. But it has surprised the hell out of me. It really, really did. It's the show that I'm looking forward to coming out most, besides Better Call Saul, for next year. It's been giving me the second best numbers on my channel. Next to Watchmen and The Man in the High Castle season 4 review. Like at this point, I am kind of kicking myself for not doing a review for every episode of season 4 of Man in the High Castle, but at the same time, I didn't want to give that up. Man in the High Castle is a surprise too, EB, to be honest with you, because after season 3, I was ready to give up, but I was going to finish that show and be prepared to give a really bad review. And even though I do think it was a rushed season, even though I definitely feel like they weren't told until the last minute that this was going to be the last season, and they had to jam in a whole bunch of storylines that didn't make sense to be done all at once. I still think it was miles better than anything in season 3. Not to take away from the acting and the production quality of the previous seasons, but I mean, as far as the story goes, it was way, way better. And I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. I didn't get to see Preacher. I didn't get to finish Legion, and I've only watched the first episode of Mr. Robot, and I'm waiting for all those shows to just be over so that I can go back, buy the whole seasons, and then review them. Because I have a feeling, like, I mean, Mr. Robot is like one of the best shows ever made, and I'm too far behind to get into it now. It really bums me out. And for some reason, I have all my X-Forces out here. But as far as Westworld goes, though, EB, I am stoked as hell for that to come back with Aaron Paul, and I want to see what the robots are up to next. I really do. I actually like season 2 a lot. I like how people suddenly, after a season is over, suddenly start dissing it. I remember a lot of people liking season 2 when it was on, and then once it's over, all of a sudden a bunch of people came out and started hating on that show, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Where were these voices when the show was on? DJ says Star Wars Episode 1 is better than 2015 Star Wars. Well, yeah. It really. You mean Phantom Menace was better than Star Wars, like Force Awakens? I think that production-wise, in ambition, I think Force Awakens was better than, like, Phantom Menace was so poorly written that I feel like even as much as I wish I hadn't seen Force Awakens just because of where it was headed, I feel there's a better written movie. So I can't quite agree with you on that one. But I mean, as taken as a whole, to me, the prequels are better than what we're given now, because the prequel at least didn't. It was Lucas's vision, right? So even if we didn't like it, we knew it was Lucas's world. We knew Anakin's was going to fall. We knew, we just didn't know that Lucas was this bad of a writer, or it turned into this bad of a writer. While the new trilogy is just shitting all over everything and making sure that they're telling all of the old fans to fuck off, and that we're making this, like George used to say, that this is for kids. Disney's trying, and we ignored him. We ignored him and went and saw those movies a shit ton anyway. And we buy all the different versions of it. Doesn't matter. But Disney's making sure that the new Star Wars fans, or the old Star Wars fans, know that they don't give a shit about us. They don't. Until now. Now, when all of a sudden, these negative people have made it clear that they're not going to spend the money on this, but they're still spending the money on it. It's all a big fucking joke. Outsider on HBO. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, I'm also waiting for Avenue B with Hugh Laurie on HBO. Outsider looks interesting. I did not know Jason Bateman was in it until late last week when I really sat down and watched the trailer. Rubbing my eyes. But I am excited because that's Stephen King, and Ben Mendelsohn is an incredible actor. He was even in Rogue One. He was really good. Oh, I feel like Homer Simpson when he drank when he drank crab juice. He's like, oh, but it's better than Mountain Dew. I don't watch his Dark Materials. I love the books by Pullman. I'm scared to be disappointed. Well, I'm a guy who didn't read the books, and I've had a really great response from people that have read the books that are happy to watch me figure the story out as it goes along. And they've been pointing out to me that sometimes they're disappointed in things that are left out, but I feel like some things just can't make it into the books. Some things don't translate well into the books. Some things are so big and bold in books that you can't do them proper justice in a show or a movie. And I feel like they've made certain choices just from reading the comment section that I think that most of the people are happy with the results in the end. I have very few people. I don't know if I have anybody that just says this straight up is awful. I think everybody on some level is accepting this. Like Watchmen, on the other hand, is like got so many people divided over that for multiple reasons. But I think people are happy that HBO is giving his Dark Materials a series and not trying to make it into movies, so that they're able to get at least the heart of the books in there. If that answers kind of your question about whether you should watch it or not. And also Daphne Keane in it is so good. Everybody's really good in that. Ruth Wilson as Marissa Coulter is unbelievable. Paul Green, Paul saying Patrick Stewart, yeah. I like Patrick Stewart in a fedora. Mr. Robot is a top show, EB. And what's the show you were the most disappointed of in 2019? Ooh. Trying to think of what I reviewed that I didn't like. I'd have to pull out my one of my tablets and look at my playlist. Oh, wow. What was something I was just shitting on all year? I don't know. I don't know if I really was. I'm going to come back to that comment, and once I look at my playlist of stuff that I have here. DJ says, I really thought Star Wars was going to end after episode 3. Well, it probably should have. It probably should have. I mean, Harrison didn't even want to come back. And Hamill took the money. I love Hamill, but he took the money. You know, and Carrie Fisher died during the production. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that means anything, but Jacob Bessie, am I going to watch The Witcher? Yes, I'm going to be watching and reviewing The Witcher. And again, I've never read the books, and I've only tried to play the game. Where is it? Do I even have it over here? I have The Witcher somewhere. Oh, yeah. It's down there in my pile of PlayStation games. I tried to play The Witcher multiple times, Witcher 3. It's just too big, and I don't have the time. But I like the world of The Witcher, and I'm really excited about it. And Henry Cavill, I think Henry Cavill's a good actor. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think he's been given good enough material. I think that when he's given good enough material, he's good. I think he was good on that show, The Tudors, with where he was, what was that, with King Henry or whatever, and he was one of his dudes in that, and I think that going back to that trailer, that second trailer was really great, and I hear that they're going off the books and not the game, so I'm really excited about that, Jake, if you don't mind me calling you Jake. Evie, yes, exactly, has some pretty positive feedback on his Dark Materials so far, and HBO is quality. Yeah, I mean, HBO mostly is quality, except for, you know, if you guys like the last season of Game of Thrones, more power to you. Jacob says, EB, I love HDM, just accept it is going to be different than the books. Yeah, nothing, you know, like what isn't different from the books? You know, I mean, The Shawshank Redemption was based on a short story. So, you know, there's all sorts of license. If they get the heart of it, I feel like if you can get the heart of it and you get the right actors and the right writing, it can elevate stuff that might be too hard. I mean, people have been saying like, The Dark Tower's undoable. Watchmen was undoable. You know, nobody could make this. American Psycho was an unmakeable movie, you know, and I still feel it kind of is. But, you know, as long, you know, and they're at least trying to adapt things that haven't been done before, and they're not remakes, you know. DJ says, I don't like The Good Doctor and Bull. I won't watch The Good Doctor because I think that's I can believe a lot of things. I can suspend my disbelief on a lot of stuff. But anybody that says, hey, we'd like you to introduce you to your doctor. He's got Asperger's. Like, no, we don't, because that's not my doctor. Let's see. I'm going through my playlist right now. Stuff that was disappointing. God, I make a lot of playlists, guys. You know, I review a lot of stuff. Too Old to Die Young, I thought was pretentious as hell. Jessica Jones season 3 was not good. Not good. Oh, another thing that really surprised me was What We Do in the Shadows. That was fantastic. Black Mirror season 5 was very disappointing. Game of Thrones was probably the most disappointing. If that answers your question, yeah, Game of Thrones was the most disappointing. Hannah was disappointing. And it was very disappointing that Deadly Class was canceled, because Deadly Class is one of my favorite things all year. Punisher season 2, I don't know if that was this year or last year, but Punisher season 2, as much as I love John Bernthal as the Punisher, that was garbage. And now I remember where that girl's from. Oh, she was in that. That girl was in there, and oh, I don't like her at all. Titans. What about Titans, Paul? Was that a disappointment for you? EB's just replying to Jake. DJ says, "Can you ship me the games you don't play anymore?" Well, I could ship you games that I won't play anymore. Not because they're bad, because I know I won't get to them. It's stuff that I already own. Like I could ship you Titanfall 2, because I have that on digital. And what else do I got down there? I'll probably never play Mass Effect Andromeda again. I'll probably never play. What else do I got over here? Shadow of Mordor, probably would never play again. Not that it's bad. But when it comes to PlayStation, the reason I went with PlayStation instead of Xbox is PlayStation's exclusives are so fucking tight. So most of my stuff here are like, if it's not Assassin's Creed or Batman or like that kind of stuff, it's pretty much exclusives to PlayStation that I would never really give up. EB says The Tudors with Jonathan Rhys-Meyer. Yes, he was amazing. I even forgot he was on the show. Yeah. He was young back then. This is pre-Superman stuff. Jacob says, I love watching your HDM reviews. Awesome to see someone who's not read the books review them. I think I'm starting to finally get a handle on everything. But the one thing I still can't get a handle on is Dust. And the whole thing about we're starting to get into that whole religious aspect of the cutting people off from their sin. That's just some fucked up shit, man. But I love it. I love it, and I'm fascinated by it. And I think part of the reason I'm fascinated by it is because of my background. In fact, we're going to have to be getting to that topic pretty soon. It's not that I'm going to talk about that book that I wrote when I was 14. Evie says, how do you explain the failing and canceling of the Netflix Marvel shows? How do I explain it? Well, Netflix canceled them because they were losing Marvel. Everything was under, those shows were still owned by Disney. They were licensed to Netflix. And so they didn't want them to continue under Netflix's rule. So they just had them we're not doing any more of it. But there was that deal they made though, that they can't do anything with the characters though, for a certain amount of time. I think it's just a shame, but it was inevitable. It was eventual. I mean, as soon as you heard that there was a timeline on the Disney deal in the first place, where you knew it was ending in 2019, the last gasps that are on Netflix are like what, Last Jedi, and a couple of other Marvel movies like Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, are still on there, and Infinity War maybe still on there. I don't know. The best way to tell is if you go to Disney Plus and you click on something and it says not until a certain amount. I don't think they failed. And in fact, I actually, as much as I did not like Luke Cage season 2, and I did not like Jessica Jones season 3, I didn't like Punisher season 2. I actually liked Iron Fist season 2. God help me, I did. Because I think that everything that they did wrong in season 1 was much better in season 2. That doesn't make it the best thing they've ever done. Because I thought the Defenders was kind of a letdown too. But I don't think they failed. I just think that the Disney thing just kind of made it all. There was no way to do it anymore. And Daredevil is the biggest heartbreaker because Daredevil never got bad. Daredevil just stayed consistent. Like the comic, man. It's like people just want Daredevil to be good, and so they make it good. Except for the movie with Ben Affleck, The comic is very rarely bad, and the show was never bad. You got people love Daredevil. The people that love Daredevil, and I'm one of those people. But to get to Paul says, want to see Beast Boy return to Doom Patrol. I didn't know he goes there. That's coming up pretty soon on the show, I imagine. I've only got 11, 12, 13, 14. 15. I got 5 episodes left to review for Doom Patrol. So that's coming up. So that's gonna be my first introduction to Titans, Paul. Get ready for it. DJ says, I'll take Titanfall 2 and Mass Effect. I'll take all of them. Oh, like I heard Titanfall 2 is actually a pretty dope game. EB, for you, it's a shame. I thought the first seasons were amazing, but the second seasons were very disappointing. Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Punisher. It's a shame because it just felt inevitable. This all felt temporary. I never got comfortable with it because, like I said, once you hear 2019 and it's going to be over, you just, in my head, I went, well, that's when the shows are going to be over. And they're gonna still be on Netflix. You know, they're not going away. You'll have them there, right? I think that Netflix owns those episodes. But if you want to see the complete series, like I hope that Charlie Cox continues as Daredevil, and I hope John Bernthal continues as Punisher. If they can get Jessica Jones to, if they can get her, what's her name, Kristen Ritter, to return as Jessica, fine. But I mean, these are all characters that if they were just to transfer them to Hulu, because we all know Hulu is owned by Disney. They sell the Disney Plus Hulu package. If they just moved those shows over to Hulu and just kept making them, but it's that, again, they can't because there's that clause that says that nobody can work with those, nobody can make anything with those characters for a certain amount of time. So hopefully Bernthal's still up for it. I have a feeling he is. And hopefully Cox would be into it too. And would they be different? Sure, fine, whatever. I'm just going to try to remember how good Daredevil season 1, 2, and 3 were, how good Jessica Jones and Luke Cage season 1 were. I'm just going to try to remember the good parts of it. Jacob says definitely agree with Game of Thrones season 8 with such a disappointment. Yeah. I mean, we could go on forever about how bad Game of Thrones was. In fact, one of the things that I almost, when we were talking about those guys that were negative shills, I almost became one of them because of Game of Thrones. I got on that bandwagon of hate for that show. And I found these 2 channels that were like of the same mindset as mine. And I was like, wow, okay, everybody's on board with this. And I was getting caught up in that whole, let's take a dump on Game of Thrones. And then I realized that that's all those people were doing. They weren't doing anything else but just shitting on things that they didn't agree with. And it's fine to not agree with something, but then to like make your channel just become that, and then all of a sudden try to throw in reviews. Like, I didn't want to be like that. I did not want to become like that. And so I backed the hell off because I saw myself heading down that same road where you could just get so caught up and just focusing on the negative things to fit your own agenda. Because believe me, guys, these guys out there that are telling you how bad everything is, they, like I said, not just super chats either. They got their own fucking agendas against some of these people that make the stuff, whether it's Marvel or HBO or Disney. They're not telling you the whole goddamn story about why they don't like these things. Just saying. And people that never give you facts but just have sources. If you're gonna do a thing where you shit on people, do it like Red Letter Media does. I was just, before this live stream, I was watching them do their latest Nerd Crew videos where they make fun of everybody. It's like they're like South Park for YouTube, man. They go after everybody, and they're doing it right. And guess what they're not doing? They're not taking money from you guys to make the same videos over and over again. They're making a joke of all of it, while the rest of these guys are just taking it so seriously and crying almost about it and wearing their stupid helmets and making you guys think that we're the champions of, we're saving pop culture. You're not saving pop culture. You're not. You're just keeping it at the same level. And now that you know you can make money off of it, you want it to stay at that level. Trust me, guys. If everything started to be nice out there. Oh, by the way, what do you guys think of my giant Deadpool? Let's segue into something more positive, I guess. EB says Daredevil was always good. Yes, it was. In fact, I think season 2 was my favorite, even though a lot of people say season 3 was the best. As a comic book fan, Daredevil season 2 was my favorite. Just because Punisher versus Daredevil versus Elektra versus the Hand, it was insane. Season 3 had the best Kingpin Daredevil story ever. Like, the end of season 3 was just such a freaking treat. Just watching Matt just beat the shit out of Kingpin. It was great. It was fucking awesome. And Charlie Cox and the action scenes. The action scene in the prison. Oh. DJ says, be right back, going to get my food. Do you pirate food too, DJ? Do you go out and call pizza guys and then just take their pizzas? Be like, yahar, I'd be taking your pizza. EB says, the show from Epix, did you really love it? Is there a second season planned? Perpetual Grace Limited was fantastic. I really, 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 really love it. I've gotten to talk to a lot of the guys that make that show and a lot of the actors that make that show. It was actually really surreal for me to actually be in a little bit of communication with these people that famous people that, some nobody here in buttfuck Illinois gets to talk to every once in a while. Like Luis Guzman and Chris Conrad and the director, Steve Conrad. I was actually invited by Steve to come out to their studios in Chicago next time I'm out there, and I'm actually going to take him up on that offer next time I go out there, either for C2E2 or next summer for Wizard World. I would, or maybe even before that, maybe even just in the spring, I might just give them a call and see if I can go in there and interview those guys, because Perpetual Grace was a fucking amazing show. I don't know if they're getting a season 2. It needs a season 2. And I don't know, like Patriot, I can't remember which one was more unlikely. I think Patriot's the one that's more unlikely to get a third season. Because of where they make it, how they make it, and everybody they got to get together. I think Perpetual Grace hopefully will get another season. Either way, though, these guys make great television. So hopefully one of their projects gets picked up by a channel that, because let's face it, Epix, they gave them the opportunity to make this fantastic show, but who watches it? Who has Epix? I don't even have Epix. I got rid of it once the show was over. No offense to the guys that make Perpetual Grace, but I'll buy the DVDs. That's a show that really needs an audience, though. That and Patriot. I like live stream like this. It's much better for you than when you're playing. Well, yeah, of course. And the fact that it's actually working. Because trying to talk while you're playing a game is just ridiculous, and it doesn't stop anybody from talking to me. But I mean, I don't mind it so much as long as everybody understands that at some points during those gaming streams, I actually have to play the game. That's why it's like you never know what to play. Like you can't play something where you're just going to be in the middle of a firefight the whole time. And Telltale Games is basically not a thing, even though they just released the trailer for Wolf Among Us 2, which when that comes out, we will be live streaming the hell out of Wolf Among Us 2, because it's really easy to stream during those games that are narratives, like just straight narratives where you can just talk and have people kind of like tell you what choice should I make and all that. I would love to redo some of those. Like Tales from the Borderlands, guys. I would love to do a live stream of Tales from the Borderlands. That is one of the best freaking point and click games. That's probably the best point and click game I've ever played. And I know everybody loves, Tales from Monkey Island by, way back in the day. But for a guy who never really got into those, like Walking Dead season 1 and 2 and Tales from the Borderlands and Wolf Among Us are like 4 of the best games. Game of Thrones Telltale series was pretty fucking amazing too. And that sucks that it won't get a season 2 because that story really needed a season 2. Oh my god. Maybe with Wolf Among Us coming back in a different studio, taking the reins, maybe we'll start to see some of these Telltale games come back. I would really love to see that. Paul Green, I said your full name, sorry. Paul says, can't wait for The Boys season 2. Hey, Paul, check this out. Black Friday, on Black Friday, Graham Cracker Comics had $5 graphic novels. So I got The Boys, Volume 2, The Boys, Volume 3, and The Boys, Volume 4, all for $5 each. So you better believe that I've been catching up on The Boys. I can't wait for that to come back, for sure. EB, there is a show about Forrest Whitaker as a gangster on Epix. Didn't watch it yet. Well, neither have I. And like I said, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I found out that Perpetual Grace was from the guys who made Patriot, I'd have never watched Epix. And unfortunately, with how many streaming services there are, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do all these. Like Apple TV might have some great shows, but unless they give me a free month where I can like binge watch and review a bunch of these shows that are on there, I'll never do it. I just can't do it. I'm paying too much as it is. And I'm never getting rid of Netflix. Never getting rid of Netflix, guys, because I was championing Netflix before anybody believed in their streaming service. I kept telling everybody this is the fucking future. And people back then were like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And now look at Netflix. So I will never give up on Netflix because I feel like then I've lost the streaming wars. And Disney Plus, how can I get rid of Disney Plus? It just has all the stuff from the past that I love and all the present stuff. Like Disney, they're a money-making machine. And they're like Walmart, man. You might feel bad about going in there, but the shit's good. Most of it. And if the stuff you don't like, you don't have to watch. I got rid of my Hulu because I don't watch a lot of live television. I don't want, the only thing I'm missing on Hulu is South Park. Let's see. You should do this more often with your YouTuber friend. I don't remember his name. Gino. I talked to Gino about doing like a collaboration on his channel. Like doing a dually. Maybe I was trying to come at it like pressure wise, like he wouldn't feel like he has to talk the whole time. Like if he's like wants to use the bathroom and needs to like take a break, I would be able to jump in. I would love to have him on here. I don't think he understands also all the technology about it, but he understands this stuff more than I do. I'd also I want to work with D again from D's Reviews. I actually sent him a message today about doing something for The Expanse. I was going to do something about Walking Dead, but I stopped watching Walking Dead. Literally, it's like gone from my consciousness. I don't even I have the time. I go, oh yeah, Walking Dead was on. It's amazing how quickly you can just stop caring about some of this stuff if you just don't make yourself. Not good. It's like when you just swallow it and you try not to taste it, but I have nothing else here. DJ's back. Which actor is the best of 2019 for you in terms of performance? Robert De Niro or Joe Pesci or Adam Driver or Scarlett Johansson. Because actor to me can be both male or female, acting. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story just kill it. They fucking kill it. And I think she'll be nominated and probably win for Best Actress. But Adam Driver I hope he wins some awards, but I think that Robert De Niro has to win. Robert De Niro has to win for The Irishman. And Joe Pesci has to win Best Supporting Actor because Joe Pesci is insane. Like he was so good in The Irishman and he doesn't even kill anybody. He just does it all with just being Joe Pesci. It's just amazing. Other people that were great this year. Well, none of the people on Game of Thrones, I couldn't believe, like, I love Peter Dinklage, but I couldn't believe they gave him Best Actor in a Drama. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was fucking shocked. I don't know who else, again, there's so much to think about and talk about that it's hard to just, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Either one. I don't think either of them will win, but I think that they both deserve to be nominated. Who else? I'll have to come back to that and think more. DJ's back. Welcome back, DJ. I knew Netflix was going to take up. Yes. Bill, Casey, you slept too long. That's all right, Bill. That's quite all right. I'm sorry I just got to your comment. I'm realistic. It's Friday night, man. This is the night people go out and get hammered or go see, movies or whatnot. But this is my day off. This is the time when I can do it. I can do it any time, really. I mean, except for Monday nights and Sunday nights. Because Monday nights is his Dark Materials. Sunday night I could start doing them. Sunday is always going to be HBO, and then Monday is Dark Materials. And once that's over, I could probably start doing these on Mondays. But it's not everybody goes and does anything on Friday nights. And at this time of night, maybe I'm talking to somebody from another side of the world. Which I know I usually am. Godfather of Harlem on Epix. Never heard of. Oh, is that the show with Forrest Whitaker? Yes, Paul. Okay, that must be right. Jacob says the price point for Disney Plus makes it a no-brainer, $7 a month. Yeah. Plus, I also do DC Universe, which I might stop using once Doom Patrol is over. Just because I read the comics on there. I mean, look at how many. These are all Batman comic books that I just bought in the last couple of days. Like, I don't need more Batman comics, okay? I don't need to read comics on DC Universe. Harley Quinn is a I don't like it. I don't like it very much. I don't think it's funny. And I think that hearing Harley and Joker just say fucking shit and all that stuff, like, even though I'm saying it, seeing these characters just profanely swear like on every DC show it's too much. DJ says Friday is WWE Friday night Smackdown. Monday is Monday Night Raw. Well, you can always watch the wrestling while you're listening to me talk. I almost sound probably like somebody who's refereeing a wrestling match when I start bitching about certain things. I mean, and I hate being like that too, by the way. I don't like talking about other YouTubers like that, but they sicken me. They sicken me. And I'm sure that they don't like me very much either if they heard this, because I'm just some hater. And it's like, no, man, I'm not some hater. I just don't believe in all the hate. Like, I don't like Rise of Skywalker either, but I'm not going to spend my whole life complaining about it. I'm just not going to see it. And, Paul says, what do you think about the Bruce Lee scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Now, Chris Stuckman said that he thinks that was a memory of something that happened. He said that, and I went, Chris, that never happened. They were talking about him going to the set, but it never happened. It was his imagination. It was him imagining what would have happened. That's why at the end of the scene, this long-ass flashback, it's not a flashback. It's him playing what would happen if he went. And when he goes, fair enough, it's him reaching the conclusion that would probably happen in that scenario. So the Bruce Lee fight is all in his head. It didn't happen. And so people that say, oh, Bruce Lee would never be like that, needn't worry, because it didn't. And like I said in my reviews, I did 2 reviews for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You can look them up on the channel because I love that movie. It's the Avengers Endgame is the fanboy orgasm of my life. Okay, let's be clear. There's a reason the poster's on the wall. I have all my, look at this stuff. Okay, I got fucking Thor's hammer over there. But my favorite movie is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. My film, by film, like actual, like to be like Martin Scorsese. I don't think of course, Marvel movies are movies, but my favorite film of the year is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It just is. It's just fantastic. The Irishman is a close second, and Marriage Story is an even closer third. And both of them happen to be on Netflix. Go figure. But I just say, like, I don't know what some of these people are watching, and maybe I'm wrong. But the way Brad Pitt plays that scene, right? He's sitting up there thinking about the opportunity because he asked DiCaprio to ask Kurt Russell if he can, be on, get a bit role or some crap like that. But it never happens. He's told to go work on the roof. So he goes and works on the roof, and he thinks about what would happen if he went to, if he got that meeting. And he's imagining what people say about him behind his back about his wife. And like how, like, just so happens that Kurt Russell's wife shows up. It's all a fantasy. So when, after all is said and done, and he, like I said, he's smoking on the roof, and he like just kind of goes like this, and he's like, fair enough. It's him realizing that it's probably a good idea that he doesn't go to the set and try to get this job. It's as simple as that. I don't know what else to say about it. And like I said, if Quentin Tarantino comes out and says that this way I see it is wrong, then fine. And even if I am wrong, like I said in my other reviews, Bruce Lee had to have I heard Bruce Lee liked to fight people sometimes. Like everybody just wants to believe that Bruce was always the Buddha on the mountaintop. But let me tell you something. Everybody has a bad day. And everybody can be an asshole. You tell me that there weren't days where Bruce Lee just wasn't like, I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. You have to have an ego to be a guy like Bruce Lee in some way, shape, or form. Okay? As an actor, you have to have some kind of ego. So he wasn't just a martial artist. He was trying to be a whole bunch of things. So there has to be pride and there has to be ego. And somewhere in there, I'm pretty sure that he probably fucked some guys up, whether anybody wants to talk about it or not. We all used to think really good things about Bill Cosby, right? And guess what happened there? America's father turned out to be a fucking rapist. So I'm pretty sure that Bruce Lee had bad days. That's all I'm saying. I love Bruce Lee. I love Bruce Lee movies. They're some of the best action movies, and I'm not a big action movie guy anymore, but I will go back and watch those because that's when action was good and pure and raw. But do I believe that Bruce Lee was just this always perfect Buddha on the mountaintop? No. So I'm fine with what it is. And if that's the only thing that people can complain about in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, other than the length, which I still say is awesome how long it was, then who cares? But they have to find something to bitch about because Quentin Tarantino is a man, and he comes from that Harvey Weinstein stage and blah blah blah. And that's not an excuse for Harvey Weinstein. I'm just saying that people are going to try to put something on everyone. This cancel culture, So if it wasn't Bruce Lee's scene, they would have found something else, man. They would have said, like the whole thing with Margot Robbie not having enough lines. It's like, because the movie's not about her. She's a peripheral character in that movie. It's about how the events changed her, like this, the Tarantino's versions of the events changed her life for the good. It's a fairy tale. Anyway, I could talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood forever. Bill says Harley Quinn would be funnier if the only character who swore was Frank the Plant. Yeah, there needs to be better writing on that show. It just, it's just, and like the fact that Poison Ivy is clearly in love with her, and she looks like a character from Daria. It's not funny. I don't care about like all the the white men have all the money and things like that. That stuff's fine. And there's a lot of really funny inside jokes or little side gags that go on in that show. Those are funny. It's the actual words coming out of like Joker and Harley and Ivy's mouth that are awful. Commissioner Gordon, voiced by Christopher Maloney, is hilarious as this frazzled version of Commissioner Gordon. It's amazing. but the most of it, it's poorly written, and the animation is only so. But I did like Frank the Plant. I liked it when he spit out the dead body of that guy. That was pretty hilarious because it made me think of Little Shop of Horrors. It also made me think like the caricatures of all the supervillains of Batman made me think of stuff they did on Tiny Toons way back in the day, where they would like mock celebrities on those shows and like exaggerate them and everything. So like in this Bane, they're doing like the Dark Knight Rises Bane, where it's all making the voice all super silly because we all realize how super silly this was. Paul says Birds of Prey look good. We'll see it. Good for you, Paul. Look, Paul, you're gonna have to be the one to tell me how that one is, because I won't see that movie. That's not for me. I'm seeing Wonder Woman. Isn't that enough? I'm being very positive about Wonder Woman. I can't wait for. I can't wait. I want to see, like I said, I'm not usually a big action movie guy, but when I know that they're taking it as seriously as it should be taken seriously, it's like Banner says in Avengers Endgame, and I've said this before. It's either all of it's a joke or none of it is, or it's all of it seriously or none of it is, or whatever. I think it's either all a joke or none of it is, right? Am I going to see that Clint Eastwood movie? Which Clint Eastwood movie? Oh, there is a new Clint Eastwood movie out, and and somebody was telling me about it. Oh, Richard Jewell. That's that one, right? It's got John Hamm and that guy that's always that actor. He didn't have to do much of a stretch for that movie, because everything he just kind of looks like that. I think he's not the guy from I, Tonya, is he? Isn't he the guy who played Richard Galooly in I, Tonya, which I thought was like spot on as well? Like he's playing these two dopes from the 90s. I do want to see Richard Jewell. I really do. But again, it's like, how do I don't get out to the movies as often as I like, because I just have so much going on here. I got the schedule to keep. I got a 40-hour week job. So going to the movies has got to usually be special. Like I saw Zombieland 2, and like I said, I didn't even make a review for that, but I made the time to see the movie at least. Paul says Bruce's daughter was pissed about it. Fine, let her be pissed about it. It's all right. It's all right to be whatever. Like, oh, you're making fun of my dad. Nobody can beat Bruce Lee up. But it's like Bruce has been dead for a really long time, and I think I'm pretty sure, and I'm being sarcastic here, I think the legend I think Bruce Lee's legend will be able to handle taking a kick to the, like when he gets thrown into the car. I think his legend can handle a Tarantino fantasy scene. You know what I mean? And Brad Pitt gets kicked too. Nobody's trying, like I feel like she's just taking it so personally, and it's like, oh, you're like. So what if somebody makes a Bruce Lee movie, right, about Bruce Lee? Like, in those movies, didn't he sometimes get kicked? Didn't he sometimes punch people? Oh, well, that's based on his real life. Well, this isn't based on his real life. This is Tarantino's, change on history. So if Bruce Lee's daughter wants to be pissy about it, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Make your movie. Tell your side of the story. I don't care. Like, just get over it. Seriously, it's not that big a deal. DJ says, what's your social media so I can message you my address for the games? Well, you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. You can message me there. But I don't know how long it's going to take for me to mail those out to you. I don't know how much it's going to cost me. Are you going to pay me for shipping and handling? Paul says, I'm still waiting to see Cheetah in Wonder Woman 84. Well, you know who Cheetah is, right? That was Kristen Wiig. Which that one, as soon as I heard that Kristen Wiig was going to be Cheetah, I just kind of went, oh, it's going to be like that, is it? It's going to be like that, is it? Huh? I can't take Kristen Wiig seriously yet. She hasn't done, like, been a couple of dramatic roles that she took that I just didn't, pardon me, I just didn't really buy. And I like her. I really do. I just don't buy her as Cheetah. When you got Gal Gadot standing there and Kristen Wiig. I go, no, that's not the right match. Cheetah is a epic. It's the villain. It's Wonder Woman's like nemesis, like Batman's Joker. You need somebody that can like stand toe to toe with her and feel like intimidating. I don't see Kristen Wiig as intimidating and ferocious and animal. And I have a feeling that when she turns into Cheetah, it's going to be like funny instead of, and when I say funny, I mean like unintentionally funny. Want to see her look. Yeah, I want to see what she looks like too. Like I said, I think it's going to look like a joke. So I want to talk about the major last thing here, and that's my X-Men book that I wrote, because it plays a part into me as a person, and I've never talked about, and it kind of goes like to why I'm still into comics. Why I took a break from comics. Well, mostly I took a break from comics because my collection got stolen back in like 96. But also just kind of, let's just get into this. So like everybody here probably knows already, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And when you're born into something, you don't have a choice. For the most part, until you're old enough to make your own decisions, right? Parents make you go to church, make you do all sorts of stuff. And one of the things I did, though, because I was always really imaginative, I still am, there was some commenter on The Mandalorian that told me that I had lost my imagination. It's like, what are you, fucking crazy? You don't know me. Like, I live in imagination land. Look at my freaking set. Like everything is just based on like crazy imagination stuff. Turn the camera around. You guys can see my Captain America on the TV. You can see I got a shield hanging on the wall. Lost my imagination? Are you crazy? If anything, I have an overactive imagination. And it's gotten me into trouble at times. But I started writing stories when I was a kid. I used to write like 16-page stories. We'd watch stuff and I'd write and I'd sit and I'd write. And my mom was always really happy and like really proud because I used to draw and write and come up with all sorts of things, which I still do. I'm like an idea machine. And I kept writing throughout my youth. And they weren't good by any standards. They weren't these amazing epics or anything to like write home about. There wasn't, just, I don't know, like it was something though that if I continued to do, I would get better at. And as after my parents got divorced and a couple of years went by and I hadn't really written anything, and it's because of that. Like my life had gotten turned upside down and I was really angry. I was still drawing, but my drawings were really angry stuff. And when I got into high school, I found comic books. And I found this whole new like level of imagination that just was like amazing. And like the first books that I found were like the X-Men. And I loved them. I couldn't get enough of the X-Men. I don't know what it was about them. I think it was because they were, people hated them. They were the outcasts. Like I felt like an outcast. And I started writing an X-Men book in my English class. And very quickly, my English teacher basically let me I didn't have to do homework because I would pay attention in class, but I was just sitting there writing every day. And my family knew about it. My mother had abandoned us at that point, but even she's kind of back in our lives a little bit. So she knew I was writing this story, but nobody was really taking it very seriously. Nobody understood. Like nobody ever asked, like, why doesn't he have homework for English class? And I just kept writing. And like I still say, I wasn't great at it. It wasn't perfect. But I was writing this epic X-Men story. It had to do with every kind of imaginable scenario for the X-Men. It was just like epic adventure after adventure, things just getting bigger and bigger, where I was like, the Brood were attacking, and Cameron Hodge was taking over, and Genosha and the Juggernaut, and all these crazy things were happening all the time, and I had all the X-Men in it, not just Wolverine, and everything. It was just like Cyclops and Gambit and Rogue and Storm and Nightcrawler. Everybody was there, and I just kept writing and writing until I wrote 309 pages of this X-Men book. It's like a big ass stack of papers, man. And my English teacher, when it was all done, right? It was all done. I gave it to her to read. And she took it and she read it. And, I know, like I keep saying, I know it wasn't good, but it was like, what kid? I was 14. What kid suddenly just sits there and writes a 309-page book? That number is burned into my head. 309. Surprised I don't use that for like passwords. But you have or a part of a password for something. But now you guys know you could 309. We at least know half of his password. So she gets it. She gives it back. She talks to my family. She's like, "This is really, really good. Like, it's not great, but if this were to be, watered, if you watered this idea, these things, this potential that your son has, that your grandson has, and basically it was getting poo-pooed because of my religion." This is when then they found out like what I was doing and what I was reading, like where was my influence coming from. Like, where was these stories coming from? Where were these crazy evil characters coming from? They were calling these, what I was doing is from the devil. They called these demons. Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses thought that comic book characters were demons. They thought Spider-Man was a demon. And they were basically poo-pooing everything about my potential. Because they just wanted me to be the one thing. They wanted me to be the kid in the church. They wanted me to be following God and just doing, following his righteousness and going door to door and living that truth and not my own truth. And I had to give the book. My mother wasn't a part of the church. And I was like, well, I need my mother to read this. I wanted her to read it because it was important. She was I knew she was out of the church. And I thought that, if I gave it to her to read, she'd see, what my teacher saw and what my grandparents couldn't see. And so she takes the book. And this was right before she was about to move to Wisconsin, I believe. Or they had just moved to Wisconsin from Downers Grove, Illinois. And she got the book, and then we didn't see each other very often because of school and distance all the time. But I went back up there finally to see her, and I asked her, hey, did you like the book? And she's like, oh, yeah, I like the book. It's fine. It's like, well, where is it? Oh, well, it's packed up away right now, and it's in all these boxes. It's in some box here or wherever, and we don't know where it is right now. And they kept putting me off. Like, we don't have time, because they were running a business. But at night, they still wouldn't look for it with me. They wouldn't let me look for it. And after a while, because I was trying to believe these adults. I was trying to believe that, oh, it's there. It's fine. I'm a young kid. I'm a freshman. I was still writing other things. I was working on other stuff. Like I wasn't feeling discouraged yet. But finally, these weeks turned into months, which became all of a sudden just years. And I was like, where is the book? What happened to my story? And they would never tell me what happened to my book. I've never seen my book. It went into my mother's hands sometime in 1990 and just disappeared. And back then there weren't I didn't have a computer. I didn't have anything like that. I just had and we didn't have copies because nobody would take me to the copy shop to get it done or anything. And by this time, at this point, whenever I'd start writing something, I could only get so far before I'd stop. And I would get too consumed about, well, what happens, like if my next book just disappears too. And so I would psych myself out, and I would just stop writing a one story and move to the next story, and the same thing over and over and over again. And how this one book it destroyed, like, my mother's, like, I don't know what happened to it. She's still, that's one, like, secret that I really want to know more than just about anything else, other than, like, why did you feel the need to leave us when we were kids, is what really happened to my fucking book. Because it killed, like, that moment, like, defined me as, like, it was basically, because she used to tell me, well, you need to live in the real world, right? You're never gonna make it like this. You're never gonna be anything, you know. And I think to myself now that she saw that I had potential, and she had wasted hers. And I feel like almost subconsciously she destroyed it. And JDM says, hiya. Hey, hiya, how you doing? And so I felt like nothing got lost. Nothing happened to, nothing just happened to it. I think that she and my grandparents got rid of it. They threw it away. And, like, that really destroyed me. And I look back on how like different my life would have been had that not happened. And it's just one of those things that kind of, like, guides me today, of, like, where I'm, like, trying really hard to make something that I'm proud of again, make stuff that I'm proud of, talk about stuff that I'm proud of. And it's why one of the reasons why I've thrown myself in so far with this channel, and why it's so important to me, and why I'll be really critical sometimes of what I do here. That I'll have to take breaks. I'll have to, question things, or sometimes I take things too hard. And it's something that I really wanted to talk about because I need to say it out loud, because I mean, it may not seem like much, but I was never able to, like, recover from it. I never wrote, like, seriously again. I used to, like, notebook. I'd notebook, or I'd have little ideas, or I'd start a story, that would go on for a little bit of pages, or I used to write outlines for things, but I never could get there because I always just felt like something, like I was never good enough to do it. And it's taken me all these years to finally, like, stop feeling that way about things, and how important it is for me, like, to reach as many people with what I do now, and put out ideas that I have now. And that kind of goes into, like, the what if stories that we were talking about, or I was going to talk about, with the what if Marvel stuff, and how I had this idea for what if Star Wars, where what if Marvel takes off, right? What if Marvel is actually good, and not just some, like they have the Peggy Carter as Captain America, and it's like, okay, as long as those stories are actually good about choices and stuff, because that's kind of like what if books were really about, was, like, the importance of choices, and how little choices can actually be, like, have big impacts. And so I was thinking, if that's successful, then what would stop Disney from doing what if Star Wars stories? And my what if Star Wars story, because I just want to get it out there, so that if anybody steals it, Disney would have to, like, try to dance around it or something. But my idea for what if Star Wars was, like, at least one of the stories, and it's got two potentials, because one's, like, kind of a simple story, and one gets real dark real fast. Because that's where my brain goes. It takes it to the nth degree. And so the story that I thought was really interesting, because my friend and I at work were talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark, and how I was told, when you look at Indiana Jones in that movie, he's not really integral to that movie. Everything that would have happened would have happened. The end of that movie would have all played out the same, even if Indiana Jones wasn't there. He was just basically there to bear witness to the events in that movie. So I started thinking about that when it came to Han Solo. I was like, okay, yeah, you got a point. Indiana Jones really wasn't necessary to Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was necessary to all the other ones. but not to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Indiana Jones and Han Solo are like my two favorite like fictional characters from the 80s and possibly of all time. I was thinking of the choice that Han Solo, like, so the what if story would be, what if Han Solo never took Luke and Ben Kenobi to the Death Star? And how that simple choice of taking a pass on that would mean that Leia never gets rescued, Kenobi still dies, Luke gets taken by the Darth Vader and probably trained under him once he figures out who he is. And then they would end up like, they'd have blown up the rebel base. Leia, like I said, would probably be executed. And I know it's a dark story, but that's what the point of like a lot of these what if stories was to show like the power of choice and like kind of almost like an It's a Wonderful Life, where the power of like one man is actually important. Like some choices do have that kind of effectiveness. And how I was going to say that at one point, like instead of like going that dark right away, I was going to say that like he passes on taking them, but then is given a job by the Hutts to smuggle Luke's, like Darth Vader wants to keep Luke Skywalker from the Emperor and needs to smuggle him out to someplace safe. And he needs the best smuggler in the galaxy to get him out. And I was thinking, well, what if, Vader goes to the Hutts and says, who's your best smuggler? And they say Han Solo can get this guy out, get your package out of here. And Han would have to be faced with the fact that he is now smuggling the person that he passed on helping. And now all this terrible stuff has happened, and he's got this one opportunity to make things right. Or you go even darker than that, which I was like leading to, which is that Luke goes full on dark, and Han is forced to take Imperial jobs and has to see like bear witness to like everything else. Or you could take it to what if Han didn't come back after he rescued Princess Leia and he just took off, and Luke tries to blow up the Death Star, right? But he gets blown up because he doesn't have the backup all of a sudden. And so the rebel base gets blown up, and Han has to like realize that his choice just like ended the rebellion. Well, see, I don't think in New Hope, he doesn't know that she's his daughter, because it wasn't written that way. You needed to get through all the way to Jedi, almost, except for that line from Yoda who says there's another, but Vader didn't know that. You know what I mean? And they never alluded that he knew. They never alluded that he knew until Jedi, when he goes, sister, you have a sister. That's when he knew that she was his daughter. So he would have killed her. Or he would have let Moff Tarkin do it. So like if in that scenario, I just think that the what if story of Han Solo making the choice to not help is a huge impact in episode 4. Him going back and helping either one of those choices would be amazing to see play out. And like I said, I'm just saying the idea out loud, so that way, if anybody tries to steal it, I can say that I have video proof that, unless my video just suddenly disappeared or something, I should probably get like a flash drive and put this video on there. Because I think that that's an excellent story to tell. Now it's dark, like I said, but the what if stories were a lot of those stories are really dark, but so is the Mandalorian, so stuff couldn't be aired on there. And I mean, they have all the Star Wars movies, and Empire's pretty dark, but I just think it's kind of like also the Force Unleashed games go pretty dark, where a Star Killer killed like Ben Kenobi and Boba Fett and Han Solo and Chewbacca and Princess Leia. Luke goes to the dark side in that. And it's not like Dark Empire didn't explore those kind of stories anyway, like where Luke goes to the dark side to fight the return of Palpatine, right? Wasn't that the return of Palpatine in Secret Empire? So that's just my what if Star Wars story, as well as my X-Men story. Hopefully this wasn't too much of a bummer. I know I've just getting around to all that stuff. We've been talking for almost 2 hours though. Desiree's here all of a sudden. Hey Desiree, what's up? Are you working, Desiree? You're probably working, right? I'm glad. I'm very happy to see you here though. What is this? 4140. Going through my comments. And so, yeah, I mean, unless you guys, if you want to put any more comments in there, if you have any more questions, put them here now, and we'll answer them. You just got home. Yeah, it's been a long day, even though I've had the day off. Um, but otherwise, if there nobody has anything else, I think that I want to thank everybody for being here. Even Desiree comes in the 11th hour, and that's awesome to see. Don't forget to hit the like button, you guys, if you haven't already. I know just about everybody here is already a subscriber. But if you watch this later on or something, and I better get a flash drive to make sure that this doesn't disappear off of my system, just in case Disney likes that idea for What If Star Wars. I do want to see more. I can't wait for What If Marvel, though. I can't wait for What If Marvel. I just hope it's not too stupid, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that the Peggy Carter episode is going to be bad necessarily. I just think it's on track with what Marvel's doing right now. It feels safe. And do I think the Inhumans will get a new show? No. I don't think I think the Inhumans are there's a reason that they killed them in the comics, because now that they're laying the groundwork to bring the X-Men in, they don't want to be anybody to be reminded of the Inhumans. They just don't. And to be quite honest with you, I never really dug them that much anyway. I think Black Bolt's a great character because he can't talk. He has to do everything with sign language, and that's like the biggest missed opportunity of Marvel's was the Inhumans. Having set that up on multiple seasons of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then to have this just terrible show who was done by the same guy who made Iron Fist Season 1. Desiree says, what if? I'm hoping will be amazing. I hope so too. I want to see them go to some weird places. I want to see them adapt some of those old books, man. Give us the real, like, crazy stuff from there. Like, there's even stuff that they were just doing. Like, what if Peter Parker became the Punisher? There's what if Peter Parker married Black Cat? There's what if Wolverine became King of the Vampires? What if the X-Men never left Asgard? There's so many to choose from. I think there's got to be like Infinity. They're going to probably do Infinity Wars type stuff or Infinity Gauntlet type stuff. There's so many different ways they can take it. I just hope that they don't go too safe, and I think I'm pretty sure that that's probably where they're going to go. And Desiree says, yeah, they're great for team up movies, but not as a solo venture. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that at all either. So I think, yeah, I mean, other than that, I think that this was a really successful, if not a reasonable live stream, reasonably successful, because I didn't have, I wasn't thinking I was going to have like, this is being watched by 375 people. No, I'm realistic. We got to talk about what we wanted to talk about. I got to talk about what I wanted to talk about. I covered pretty much everybody's comments in there. I might not have answered all of EB's questions as much as I wanted to, because I couldn't think of all the great performances or the least good, the most disappointing stuff. But other than that, I really appreciate everybody that is able to stop by. I mean, you guys are my hardcores. Everybody that's here is part of my hardcore group of people. And there's more of you here. I know that other people probably would have been here if they could, it's hard to like bring one of these together, even on a good day when everybody's here. I mean, I know you guys make time for Geno's, and I appreciate you guys, anybody that came in even just for a minute to do this. Like I said, the votes were in for Friday being the live stream day. If a better day comes up, I would definitely be willing to change, as long as it doesn't interfere with my schedule of other things. But I want to thank again everybody for coming out and listening to me and being, giving me feedback and being a part of it, because that's what this is about, right? That's what this is all about is the community and getting to talk about stuff that we want to talk about, and also appreciating each other's differing opinions and watching Logan. Like, if anybody hasn't watched Logan before, you basically got to watch the whole thing minus, audio. Because I was trying to think of something to play in the background. And guess what? This is definitely not for kids. because they asked me that before the live stream starts. Is your video made for kids? And we literally just hit the 2-hour mark, so I think this is a pretty good place to stop. Bill says, "What if Patty Jenkins got to make Thor 2?" What? Oh, well, well, it would probably be more coherent. It would actually be I mean, Patty Jenkins is. It couldn't have gotten much worse than Thor: The Dark, or just Thor: The Dark World was just such a nothing movie. It just wasn't. It just nothing. Like, I didn't care about Natalie Portman. I didn't care about the red goo. I didn't care about the dark elves. And you should. The dark elves are scary characters. Even if War of the Realms was kind of a terrible book series, a terrible event book, Malekith is a fucker. And Christopher Eccleston's too good of an actor to be wasted in that. And it was just basically a vehicle to show that Loki was going to become a good guy. It took them 2 hours to show that Loki was going to become a good guy. Natalie Portman didn't want to do it. And then they backed the money truck up to her house and say, "Hey, you want to still do Thor?" Well, I mean, her holding that hammer was just one of the biggest jokes. Just like, what do I do with this? Malekith was ruined, Desiree. I agree. But I don't think Patty Jenkins could have done any worse. I don't even remember who directed that. And wasn't that the movie where Zach Levi took over for the other guy that was on Once Upon a Time as one of the Heroes 3? They didn't know what to do with him because it's ridiculous. And I think Thor 2 wasn't that before Guardians of the Galaxy, so they hadn't really had anybody tackle the cosmic side really good. I mean, Kenneth Branagh's first Thor was fine because it was very Shakespearean, and it was treating it with weight and gravitas. But Thor 2, they tried to just do the same thing with a different director. And it's just like, you got to embrace the crazy. Because Asgard and all these realms, they're nuts. And it took Taika Waititi to, look, I actually wasn't, the first time I saw Thor Ragnarok, I didn't quite understand that it wasn't as a laugh riot as I thought it was. But it definitely embraced the crazy. And that's what I really appreciated it, was that Taika Waititi took that cosmic world and just had fun with it. And that's what I think, if Patty Jenkins could have brought more fun to it, then hell yeah. And Paul says, wasn't Yelena Belova the second Black Widow was in the comic Inhumans? I don't know. I'm not familiar with her character, to be honest with you. All I know is that Florence Pugh is in everything, so why not the Black Widow movie too? In fact, that was the only thing that I groaned about during the Black Widow trailer, was like, oh, Florence Pugh is in this now too. I don't dislike her. She's one of those actresses that's going to be overused before she even gets as famous as she's going to be. You know what I mean? Like Michael Caine used to be in everything, and you just went, oh my God, how many Michael Caine movies are there? But it's Michael Caine. You don't mind because he's established. Florence Pugh hasn't even been established as like this, great actress, and she's in fucking everything. And I guess it's showing like, oh, everybody wants her, but everybody's gonna get real tired of her real quick when you overdo it. You need to, stretch this stuff out. So anyway, thanks again, everybody. I think that we're gonna call it there because I keep saying we're gonna call it, we never do. So thank you so much, Paul and Desiree and DJ Crystal Clear and Bill Casey and EB and JDM and all the other people. Like, let's see if I can go through here and find anybody else that I didn't mention. Jake Bessie, thank you so much. How did I forget Jake, man? Oh, probably because he hasn't put any comments in here in a while. But man, thank you guys so much for making this fun and nice and talking about. And I'm sorry if I dumbed everybody out with my X-Men book story. Same with David Harbour, but I am all crazy for. Yeah, but David Harbour hasn't been overused. That's the thing. I just because he was in Hellboy and Stranger Things. That's it. He's not overused. In fact, before Stranger Things, the only thing I remembered him in was that Jack Reacher, the first Jack Reacher movie. I love David Harbour. Give me more David Harbour, actually. and Hellboy wasn't his fault. That was Mike Mignola's fault, and a bad director and terrible CGI and terrible script and a bunch of characters that nobody cared about. And the fact that it wasn't Guillermo del Toro, there were so many things going against that movie. There were so many things going against that movie, and it wasn't David Harbour's fault. He was having a blast in that movie. But you can't save a movie from bad writing and bad decisions making from the production company and the movie studio that puts it out. You know, they went heavy, they went R, great, but they made it look like crap. The CG was terrible. I love Daniel Day Kim, but he's no Abe Sapien. You know what I mean? He wasn't even as good as the FBI agent from the first Hellboy, and he definitely wasn't as good as Selma Blair. You know, like, why did they get rid of these characters? And then they tease Abe Sapien at the end of that movie, when you know now that they're probably not going to make another one of these unless out of pure spite. So anyway, that's it. Thanks again so much, everybody, for watching this live stream. Hopefully we'll be back either in a week or two. I don't know. I might be doing this like Gino does and just make it every other week, so we can build up stuff to talk about. Otherwise, unless I come up with stuff to talk about that we really need to talk about, we have a crazy week or something. Night Rob, hugs back to you, Desi. So thank you again, everybody, for coming out, and we will see you in the next video. Man, thank you so much, guys. Seriously, thank you so much for coming out. Bye.